Thomas Anders, welcome to the Festivalurin.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah. I want to start asking you, why did you become a pop singer?
I don't know, to be really honest, because when I'm looking back in my life, I always, even when I was a kid, I had the wish to be on stage. It was I remember when I was 3 years old, and I was starting to sing, and all of my relatives, grandma, granddad, blah blah blah, and so on, and cousins and whatever, I intimidated a concert with 3 and 4 years. And my first, it was not a stage. It was, before 120 people. I was standing on a chair, and I was singing my first songs. And this was the first time with a big audience. So it was always inside of me just to be on stage and to sing for people. And the funny thing was about that, when I did this first show when I was 6 years old, I got some chips and chocolate. And it was for me fantastic. I was doing something what I liked, and I got things which taste perfectly, chips and chocolate. So I thought, this is it.
Your first hit was with Modern Talking, You're My Heart, You're My Soul. How was your feeling when you had your first big pop hit?
Well, it's kind of different. And at the very beginning, when the record company is calling you and they say you're number one, I have to tell it in that way because there are many steps for this. It's wow. I can't believe it. Just shake me or whatever. It can't be true, because being number one is something very special. That means that a lot of people love your music, and they loved You're My Heart, You're My Soul. And I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks later, so we were number one in France. And then, this ball start rolling and rolling. And after 1.5 years, we had 81 countries where You're My Heart, You're My Soul has been number one. And this is a different stadium, This is something we think, what's going on here? I never even could imagine being that successful and having a number one. Oh my God. But in the meanwhile, when the other countries came after Germany as number ones, we had our second number one in Germany. And so it continues. And so we had 5 number ones in a row in Germany, and so many number ones in so many countries. And this is something you can explain. This is out of your brain thinking. You know what I want to say? This is something not realistic. Because, wow, you're the big shot, and it was in the 80s for 3, 4, 5 years in Europe. Sorry, in other parts of the world, in Asia, and it just flipped over to South America, to South Africa. And it was fantastic. And now, when I'm on stage, after nearly 40 years, and I see the people singing and laughing and dancing to the hits, to You're My Heart, You're My Soul, to Brother Louie, to Sherry Lady, Geronimo's Cadillac, Atlantis Is Calling, or whatever, then you just see it with different eyes. Then there is something which makes me proud that I'm a part of this.
When you had your first hit and you had the message, you're number one, do you remember what was the first thing you did after that?
Working, because we were really pushed by the record company, and they said, "You're number one now. You have to work, to work, to work. You have to do a really good video. You have to work for an album. You have to, you know, we have to promote different countries." And was working, and I didn't buy something special. You know, I remember what I bought. This was a Mercedes Coupe, but I had to wait for it 1 year. So, so it was such a long list on this new model. So I waited for it. But really, the most part I can remember is that I was working all year long. The complete, you know, it was in '85, and you know, we had a very big successful youth magazine, and we've been for more than 1 year in every issue. So the photographs and, you know, photos, and they you know, traveled with us from Paris to, I remember it was in Helsinki, it was in Stockholm, it was in Oslo, it was in at the Riviera, it was in Barcelona. So it was really hard work.
Modern Talking sales of album sales over 100 million, maybe 120. Why do you think that the songs of Modern Talking were so successful?
Ask the people. Yeah. I don't know. You know, there is no receipt. There is no 100% success formula in it. I think I try to explain it in that way, that the melodies were very simple, very catchy. I found that out when my son was in the kindergarten, and he was 3 years old, and I came to picking up, and all these 3, 4, 5-year-old kids were singing Sherry, Sherry Lady. And I thought, this is so simple to sing it. There must be something in it. And the second thing is that the production was very updated. It was very trendy. It was very 80s. It was very disco. It was right on the point for the people's taste.
You also had a lot of success as a solo artist. How has that part of your career been for you?
Well, different. Well, you know, it's different when you're in a combination with another person, or when you're responsible for yourself. Because everything what you decide is that you decided for yourself. You don't have to take compromises. You don't have to talk about it, and you don't have to discuss about things. So it makes it in one way easier just to be a solo artist. And I'm very, you know, very thankful that I had the chance doing all of these albums. I did a wonderful album with Gustafsson. It was one album project, and Gustafsson was the former producer from Elton John, and I recorded it in Alan Parsons' home in the UK, in England. And on the same album, one of the producers has been Alan Tarney. Alan Tarney, he was the producer from Cliff Richard and from a-ha. So I had the chance to you know, work with such fantastic producers, and so it continues. So I was you know, recording albums in the States. I did it with Peter Wolf, and Peter Wolf was the main keyboarder from Frank Zappa, and he had many #1 hits in the United States. So this is all, you know, it gives me such a lot working with these people, because I learned a lot from them. And this is one thing, even now I'm 60 years old, and to be really honest, I learned about that fact that you're never too old to learn from other people. And this makes it very, yeah, lively. I like it.
You had great success in Eastern Europe, also in Russia
Yeah.
and in Ukraine. How do you see that situation now?
This is, this is out of this world. I can't even describe it because, I've been to these countries, I don't know, for 25 years, and I've, I'm the most international artist who did the Kremlin Palace with concert 13 times. No other international artist had done it before. So I've been to Moscow, I don't know, 100 times, to Kiev 80 times, I had my shows and my tours, and for me, these countries, even when the political side was now after, the split from the USSR into Soviet Union and Glasnost and Perestroika, they were still brothers in mind. And how fucking bizarre is it that some political elite thinks to change a system because of their ego? And 100,000 of people are dying for what? For what? This is, my political part, how I'm thinking about it. But at the moment, it's not possible to doing concerts there. And I cross my fingers that one day it will take, but one day I'll have the chance going back in both countries. It's not. I'm not against the Russian people. I'm not saying these are the bad, community, bad people. This is a lot of propaganda, and the politicians are really the worst. What they are doing in Russia. This is not correct. This is not our international style. This is not how to treat other people. And, what can I say more? I hope that one day I have the chance going back there.
You've traveled a lot. You played a lot of shows everywhere in the world. What are your thoughts on performing live?
I love to go out on stage. This is like breathing fresh air. When I'm, and I'm not a kind of nervous. When I hear my intro and so on, I'm really fixed on because I want to go on stage. I want to make a show to the people, and I love it to be on stage. I love what I'm doing.
And now you're in the Faroe Islands for the first time.
Yes.
How is it to come here?
I was very curious. So what I did, I went to the internet, sure, and I was looking for a lot of pictures. What's going on here? I was looking for the climate, and I was looking for the history, part of the history, because, from my school I knew Faroe Islands, but I never thought in my complete life that I have a chance to go there and even to sing there. So this makes me very happy and kind of proud. And when I saw, even when I came here today, and was driving from the airport to the hotel, it's a bit like Hobbitland, It's it's a bit like New Zealand in the north. It's because it's a complete different world. It's completely different than what I've seen in the middle of Europe or anywhere else. It's like a own cosmos, It's very, very special, and you have sunshine, I just want to mention it.
Thursday night, you will be performing at the Summar Festival. What can you tell us about the show?
Well, I hope the people like the songs I've chosen, so they can be sure it will be, the hits from Modern Talking, and a lot of songs will be in the show, and even solo songs will be in the show, and I have some gimmicks in it, and I hope I will entertain the people nicely, and they like it. And the best part always from a show is when the show is over and the people go home with a smile on their face.
Thomas Anders, thank you for speaking to us and enjoy your stay here in the Faroe Islands.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.